channel. So today's video is going to be 5 things you should and should not say to someone with fibromyalgia or a chronic pain illness. I feel like a lot of my fellow fibro warriors will be able to relate to today's video because I'm sure some of these things have been said to you. I know a lot of them have been said to me. So it's just something I wanted to bring up so that I could possibly get better conversations started between strangers and people with fibromyalgia, or even friends and family with the person who has the chronic pain illness, because some people just don't know what to say. So in this scenario, I'm going to give one thing that people commonly say and then a suggestion to maybe say something a little bit nicer or a little bit better. So the first thing that I have had a lot, not a lot, I would say about a handful of people say is, it's all in your head, or you're a hypochondriac. No, I'm not. I think it's tough because I think if this is coming from a stranger, I mean, I don't know how often you guys talk to strangers about fibromyalgia, but I kind of do, because I want as many people to know about this invisible illness as possible, because that's what it is, an invisible illness. So if we don't raise awareness for it and talk about it as much as possible, not annoyingly, an annoying amount, but we just need to make sure that we're talking about it. And so when you say that you have fibromyalgia and someone comes back and says, oh, it's all in your head, or you have hypochondria, you think everything's wrong with you, it's tough because you don't want to get labeled as a hypochondriac. I mean, it is a real mental illness that people have, that they do think a lot of things are wrong with them. But this illness can create so many different problems that might not connect to each other. People might automatically assume that that's what it is. And when people say it's all in your head, sure, you could say that. It is part neurological disease. A lot of it is your brain is sending the wrong signals. So they're not completely wrong. So on the flip side of this, if someone tells you they have fibromyalgia, your better response is to say something like, I'm here if you need to talk. Sometimes people with fibromyalgia, even just people in general, they just need someone to listen. So if you can be that listening ear, sometimes that's just all we need. The second thing that you should not say to someone with fibromyalgia is, oh, I know someone who tried this, or this worked for this person, and blah, blah, blah. I have a hard time with this because I know most people are genuinely just trying to help, but as I've said a million times before, everyone's journey with fibromyalgia is going to be different. So what works for Jill isn't going to work for Jack. So it's nice to make suggestions, but just don't force it upon people. Because that's what I don't like, is when people are like, I've tried this, you really need to try it. I will totally take your suggestion, just don't tell me about it every day. I'll write it in my agenda for things to do. I think the best thing that someone can say, instead of maybe recommending something, is just saying, what can I do to support you? What can I do to help out that maybe isn't recommending yoga or going to a specific doctor? Just what can I do to help support you? I think that's the better thing to say. The next thing that I think I've heard so many times, and I know it's so frustrating to hear for people with invisible illnesses, is, you don't look sick. And the reason it's frustrating is, while we are very glad that you think that we look great on the outside, or even just look okay, we could be suffering with so much stuff on the inside that you don't see. So while we might look not sick and we look totally healthy, it's a totally different story on the inside of our bodies. And this goes for not even just fibromyalgia, but there's so many other invisible illnesses that people might look totally okay, but they are really struggling to cope with the illness that they're going through. So definitely not the best thing you could say. I guess something that would be a better phrase, or something better to say, would be, I can't imagine what you're going through. Just I don't even know how to phrase this, but I guess just saying that you can't imagine what someone's going through is trying to have empathy for them, but not offending them, saying that, well, you don't look sick, you look fine. So I think that might be the better phrase. Another thing that people with fibro might commonly hear is someone say, you just need to push through it. Well, sometimes that's not an option. Sometimes there's just no more pushing than we already are. I know I've said in one of my previous videos that one of my fiber resolutions for this year is to learn when to take a break. And when you have people telling you you just need to push through it, sometimes in my mind, I'm like, okay, I do need to just push through it. I need to just get over all my pain and move on and just finish doing what I'm doing. But sometimes I just can't. I need to tell myself no. So it is really hard when you have someone to say, just push through it. Something better you could say is, it's okay if you need to take it easy or if you need to take a break. That makes us feel so much better. I know I'm such a people pleaser and people out there might be able to relate to that, but when you're a people pleaser who has fibro, that is so hard because I do want to get things done and I want them to be as perfect as possible and I want people to be pleased and happy, but it's so nice to hear when someone else gives you that reassurance. It's okay to take it easy. So I think that might be something better to say. And the last phrase that I've thought of that someone has said to me before is fibromyalgia even a real illness? Yes, it is real. There are over 10 million Americans affected by this illness. So I don't want it to be compared to the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. It's real. While you might not always be able to see it with your own eyes, like a cut or a scrape, it's there. So please don't question if what we are suffering through is real. Something better to say would be, tell me more about fibromyalgia, because I feel like the people who say this most commonly just aren't educated about fibromyalgia. And I think it's so important that if people like me have this platform like YouTube that can get it out there about what fibro is and what we go through, maybe less people will stop asking this question, but I definitely think they just need to be more educated. So either saying, tell me more about fibromyalgia, or asking, how does fibromyalgia affect you? Those are better questions that start a more educated conversation and we can spread more awareness, even if it's just friends and family. Like I said, it doesn't always have to be the stranger that you're talking to. Sometimes friends and family just don't understand, and that's really tough because you definitely want to have a good support system. So definitely, please don't ask if fibromyalgia is real. I really hope this video helps everyone to create a better dialogue about fibromyalgia, and hopefully you won't have to hear some of these phrases again. But if you have heard any of these phrases, let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any suggestions for better things to say, leave them down there as well. If you missed my last video, you can click up here to watch that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!